Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Fuse, host of Fusion News, and we have a very big show planned out for you. Today is January 26, 2017, and once again, you're watching a brand new show. I am joined right now by Lauren Cooley, Campus Red founder and director. So, Lauren, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, no problem. And I know, you gotta follow Lauren on Twitter. She tweets out some very great tweets, almost better than Donald Trump. Not really. But I love your tweets. And this weekend you were very vocal about the Women's March. So can you talk a little bit about that and what, you thought about this Women's March?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think first and foremost, it's difficult for a lot of people to speak out against the Women's March because first of all, if you're not a woman, automatically you're deemed as hypocritical. If you are a woman, but for whatever reason you're not political, and all of a sudden you jump in and try to say you're against it, then people will say, well, you don't really know the issues. And so there's really a select few people that I think are in a position where they can strongly speak out against the Women's March, and I believe that I'm one of them. Being that I'm a young female, I'm involved in politics, I understand the issues. And so, I mean, while I wish that everyone understands the issues and speaks out against it, I think some people get more pushback than others.
Mhm.
And, I thought that I'm in a perfect position to make my voice known and speak out about it. And here's the thing. I'm all for women's equality, but I don't think that's what the march stood for. I was up there in D.C. during the inauguration, so I saw all the women marching, the protesting, and to me it was crass. Most of the people I tried to engage with in conversation were rude. I don't think they really even understood all the things that the founder and the backers of the march were even pushing for. And so to me, it's just one, it's poor activism. And the other thing is that these issues that they say they're marching for, I think are false or are hurtful to women. And so it's really this weird dichotomy, this weird narrative where, sure, I'm all for women being equal. I'm probably a very pro-feminist in the traditional sense of the word. I do whatever I want. I am my own boss. I go out and fight for the issues that I care about. Nothing really holds me back, especially not my gender. But at the same time, this is, that's not what this march was about. And so I was on Twitter, tweeting away, saying all sorts of stuff, provoking a bunch of liberals, like I normally do. But it's just a shame to me to see that so many people think that if you speak out against something, you're automatically, mean or hateful, when in reality, you may just have a different perspective, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, definitely. And Lauren, from the videos, I was not at the Women's March, and from the videos I've seen, a lot of reporters tried to engage with these people that were attending the march, and they were asking them, did you vote? Why are you protesting? What are you, really trying to go for? And, a lot of them did not vote, and a lot of them were not aware of what they were protesting or, really, trying to really do anything that was productive, just kind of saying we don't like our president. And in my opinion, if you don't vote, then you should not be protesting the way the election turned out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think that one of the funnier memes that we saw, and it's so interesting that we've gotten to the point where we can really boil down arguments into memes. Some people don't like that. I think that it's a really effective tool. Was, a lot of women marched to the voting booth, and they marched for Donald Trump. And so to see that the narrative on mainstream media is, oh, look at all these women, they hate Donald Trump. I actually flew back from DC home, got off the plane, and I look up on the first TV screen in the terminal, and it says anti-Trump marches across the world, or across the globe, something like that. And I'm thinking, first of all, I'm not sure this is actually an anti-Donald Trump march. It may be, but that's not what they're calling it. That's not what it originated as. Secondly, there's so many different issues they're marching for, some of which actually line up with Donald Trump. That one of the tenets, in at least on their website, I don't know if this holds true to all the individuals, but it was LGBT rights. And President Trump's one of the first presidents to ever go into office not having any issues with the LGBT community. In fact, in many of his rallies was holding up the gay pride flag. Hasn't proposed any policies that are, in my opinion, that are going to hurt the LGBT community. In fact, I think policies that are going to help, whether that's fiscal or social or anything else. And so it's just interesting to see that the media can't even necessarily get the tenets of this march correct. They want to classify it as one thing, and the people that are founding it say another, and the people on the stage say they want to blow up the White House. I mean, it's just absurd to me, because it's like the same phenomenon that we saw with the Tea Party, which was there was no central organization or driving force, and so it was this weird thing where the media could come in and say, oh, this is what the Tea Party stands for, or this is what the Tea Party stands for. And if you actually talk to someone who said they were a Tea Partier, you get a very different perspective on what the Tea Party stood for. And I think in the same way, this march, a lot of people didn't know what they were out there for, or one woman marching might not have been standing up for the same thing and another woman was marching for. So it really gave way for the media, especially, national media, to come in and label it anti-Trump. And I don't necessarily think that's what everyone there was marching about.
Right. And Lauren, we'll switch gears now and we'll talk what happened yesterday, part of day 3 of President Trump's presidency, and that is, of course, the executive order to start building the wall. That should be, we should start seeing the actual building of it this summer. Now, there's a lot of backlash, on the other side of the aisle right now, saying that this is a racist wall, and it's a very, but there's also benefits, I think, of the wall. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm very, very big on having a nation state and knowing exactly what that nation state is, being a country of laws, and actually having an understanding of who's coming in and out of your country. Whether or not a wall is the best way to do that, I would even say that's up for debate. But I know that that's what Donald Trump campaigned on, and so therefore I want him to fulfill his campaign promises. So I'm excited about the wall. I think that it's something that was such a staple of his campaign, that if he doesn't build a wall, he's automatically a failure no matter what else he does. And I'd hate to see some type of media narrative come in just because of that. So to see that he's already on board trying to get the wall started, I think it's great. I would get a kick out of if he decided to charge $20 and you get to put your message or engrave your name on a brick. I would probably do that. It might pay for the wall, who knows. But yeah, it's one of those things where he campaigned on it and he's doing it, and we see that with a lot of these executive orders he's doing. And I think it's a really good thing, because it shows the people that he's not a typical politician. He's actually going to do what he said he would do.
Yeah, we had a little conversation before the interview, and I was, saying, like, this is day 4 of the Trump presidency, and it seems like day 50 or even more. This might be the first president that we see create all his campaign promises that he made and, finish them within the 4 years of his term. So, this Trump presidency is looking very well, following his campaign promises so far.
Absolutely. And the thing that I'm thinking is, how many campaign promises did he make? He made a lot, but he's already getting through all the major ones, or many of the major ones. So when we get, 4 or 5 months in, even a year in, it's going to be very interesting to see, one, the landscape of America changing, right, with so many more jobs, hopefully with border security, and then even internationally, our standing in the world stage, whether that's with the UN or that's our fight with ISIS. But I think it's going to be a completely different world in a year or two if President Trump continues to do these things and enact these policies. And then at that point, who knows what we'll be dealing with the last year or two of his presidency. And that's even in 4 years. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like if he wins another term and is there for 8.
Yeah, definitely. And before we start talking about Campus Red, I just want to give a shout out to the 100 people watching us live right now. So, Lauren, we'll talk a little about your, Campus Red program, and how exactly did this whole pack come up?
Yeah, so I've been in grassroots for a while. I was a college activist when I was an undergrad at Furman University in South Carolina, and I kind of saw as a conservative student that there was a relatively good amount of different groups that were able to help conservative students, but they didn't always translate into getting the vote out. And so what I mean by that is there were a lot of groups that would talk about free market ideas or pro-life values, but when it actually came to election time, there were very few that were concerted on getting the vote out for a specific candidate. And that makes sense, because it's a lot easier to fundraise money if you're doing it for a 501c3, all of that's tax deductible, but that limits you from being able to talk about the candidates. And so I said, you know what? I've been in grassroots for a while. I've done a lot of campus activism. I've been in youth grassroots for a while. I'm up for the challenge. Let's raise some money and actually get out the vote for Donald Trump and for Marco Rubio in the swing state of Florida, which is where I'm from. And so we just said nobody else is doing it. This was before Students for Trump was a big thing. This is when the RNC was not really focusing on the youth vote. I don't think they actually focused a whole lot on the youth vote. But this was, when even the college Republicans didn't have a field program together yet. And we said, you know what, let's fill in this gap. Let's do the hard work that needs to be done. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We saw a lot of success, and I think it showed that there's room for the Republican Party and conservative values to start actually marketing candidates to young people.
Yeah, definitely. So do you feel like, Trump won a very big battleground state of Florida during election night. So do you feel like that you really provided a great voice for the state of Florida and really helped a little bit about President Trump winning the state of Florida that night?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no way that I can claim that Campus Red Pack was the reason that Florida swung for Trump and Rubio. But the work we did was, I think, very important because we went out on college campuses and registered conservative voters. And so we were able to help over 11,000 college students that were conservative in the state of Florida get registered to vote for the first time. And so with that in mind, we were able to take young people who are, busy studying for tests or worried about, making it to work on time, or if their boyfriend or girlfriend's going to break up with them, things that they're distracted about, and go to them and say, hey, give me 5 minutes. I'm in your dorm. I'm your next door neighbor. And we brush our teeth together at the hall bath. Can we have 5 minutes of your time to register you to vote? And then follow up and actually pursue that and get either an absentee ballot to the polls or take them to the polls. And so what we're able to do is create this momentum where young people who probably wouldn't have voted but already had our ideals were then motivated to go out and vote. And so, like I said, we were able to help over 11,000 conservative college students in the state of Florida register to vote, and we're excited about that. We also did a digital ad campaign with 3 different ads targeted at independent voters at the University of Central Florida, Florida State, and University of Florida, and over 350,000 students saw those, all of which were encouraging students not to vote for Hillary Clinton, which I think was the biggest impact we could make on youth this go around, which is, maybe you're not going to vote for Donald Trump, but definitely don't vote for Hillary Clinton. And I think we were very successful with that.
Yeah, definitely. And Lauren, before we wrap up this Feuzion News interview, I want to ask you, where do you see yourself from 4 years from now?
Oh, geez, in 4 years from now, hopefully we'll be doing the same thing on an even bigger scale. I'm very committed to helping build the next wave of the Republican Party and the conservative movement. And I think that starts on campus, and that really is contingent upon, do we have an infrastructure and an investment system in our young conservatives? And that's something that I'd like to help grow for the next 4 years. Okay,
great. Thank you, Lauren, for coming on my show tonight. And where can the people follow you on Twitter and read your tweets?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Lauren A. Cooley, or you can check me out on my website. It's laurencooley.com.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lauren, for coming on, and I hope to have you on again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yep, anytime. Okay, Fusation, you just saw that Feuzion News interview. Come back tomorrow. I'll be interviewing Zach Bai. It's going to be a great show. Fusation, thanks for watching. Always be a subscriber of Feuzion News. Hit that subscribe button, folks. Thank you to the live viewers that watch this show live. I'll be doing another show tomorrow. Be sure to like the video, comment below what you thought about it. Thank you to Lauren for coming on, and I will see you tomorrow. Be kind to one another. Oh boy, one another. Thank you.